So I think USC and what we've been doing is a really good example of how, while the underlying issues in all these universities are the same, it's important to be able to understand how the differences of each campus and how they're run and the leadership involved should kind of be used strategically to our advantage to achieve what we want to do. So, for example, at USC, I like to say that the chaos that was brought to our campus was a self-inflicted wound, 100%. I'm sure many of you know that the USC Commencement Committee decided to appoint a valedictorian that was blatantly anti-Semitic and spread anti-Israel hate and vitriol all over her social media, calling for the abolition of Israel. And when we, as the Jewish student body, combated this decision, we were met obviously with an incredible amount of backlash that ultimately led to the protests and later the encampments. But at USC, we also have a historically very strong connection between the president's office and the Jewish community, specifically with the Chabad and Hillel rabbis. And so we decided to really leverage that relationship by securing a meeting with President Folt and then being very strategic in how we approached it. So similar to kind of what Yasmin's data and research collection set out to achieve, we brought dozens of student testimonies and anecdotes that spoke to specific instances of anti-Semitism that had happened post the protests, where students had been targeted and even sent death threats, and the president and the provost were horrified. And that, I think, definitely gave them the final push to actually ultimately get rid of the encampments. We saw a statement from the president the following day, actually, to the entire student body, to the entire university, saying that disciplinary action was going to be taken, and within the next few days, the encampments were ultimately taken down by LAPD. So that was a huge win in terms of leveraging the tools that we had at our disposal to be able to bring change. But I think that the other aspect of it that we've really been focusing on this semester has been also making sure that while we're working behind the scenes, we're also working in the public eye and in the public forum. So when we saw the violent and egregious protests that happened on a few weeks ago on a Wednesday, I believe, at our campus, we decided the next day that we would demonstrate to the entire community what the Jewish community stands for. And so we set up a peaceful and unifying Seder table in honor of the hostages over Passover, invited students to come and speak to educators about the conflict. And obviously we were met with some hate and anti-Semitism and a few Heil Hitlers and spits on the ground in front of us. But overall, I would say it was a really enlightening experience for a lot of students. And I got messages from non-Jewish friends who told me that seeing our community come together in the face of what we had experienced, the hatred that we had experienced the previous day, made them feel safer. The fact that we weren't scared to show who we are and fight for peace and raise our voices in the name of that unity made a lot of students be able to see the difference between what one side was fighting for versus what we were fighting for. So I think that dual approach has actually gotten us really far at USC, even though we're obviously fighting against a much louder and more aggressive presence.